my name is Taylor. If you've never met me in real life before, I put out new videos every single Monday and Friday, and I would love if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button so you could follow along on my journey. So today I thought I would do a video talking about my various debts, specifically my student loan debt, because that's where the bulk of it comes from. And then in a subsequent video, I will talk about my strategy for paying that debt down. So a little bit of backstory on how I have accrued all of this debt is I graduated high school a year early, went to a university for about a week or so. It didn't work out, ended up dropping out, coming back home. I did not lose any money on that school experience. I worked for that first year, and that's pretty much all I did is I worked and I lived at home, and then I enrolled in community college. Now in community college, because of my ACT score and the scholarships that I got and the Pell Grants that I got, I actually got money back each semester from the school. I got about $900 back each semester. That year was completely free and was actually profitable for school, and I wish, looking back, that I would have stayed at community college for the full 2 years, but I really did enjoy my time at my next school. First year, fine, paid for. My second year of college, I went to a university and I lived in the dorms. The dorms is where I racked up the debt. Living in the dorms is so expensive. That's where my debt really started to spiral. I did have a federal Pell Grant, and I think that was about all I had. I had like a small academic scholarship, but nothing like crazy or anything. The school I went to had really cheap tuition in terms of overall tuition cost. It was about $3,000, $3,500 a semester, which is very good, but when you also add in the $3,000 a semester dorm and then the like $1,500 meal cost, and then you have to do that for 2 semesters each year, I was taking out about $16,000 in loans or more. And so sophomore year of college for me was very expensive, cost me about 16 grand, like I said. Junior year of college, I decided that I wanted to move out of the dorms and into a house with some friends. I did not have the money to support a rent payment each year, so I decided that I would take out additional loans to cover my living expenses. I don't think this was a bad thing because it did end up being cheaper than the dorms, and so if you can do that, if you take out a little more than your tuition cost and you can use that for a cheaper apartment, I think that's great. So I ended up spending about $350 a month in rent my first year, so it came out to be around $1,500 a semester versus the $3,000 a semester that I was paying while living on campus. But in hindsight, I wish I would have worked more and kind of busted my butt. That way I could have just taken out the tuition loan and not taking out like a living expenses loan. I think that would have been something that would have been great for me. And then during my last 3 semesters of college, I applied for a program that would give me, I think it was like $2,000 a semester plus a $500 stipend for books. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, or maybe it was $1,500 and a $500 stipend. I don't remember. But basically, it was for certain majors. If you lived in that city and you had proof of residency for over a year, they follow up with you after you graduate to see if you've gotten a job. So I did get that, which was very helpful. And I also still had some Pell Grant money left. I did not get a full Pell Grant, but it did help out. But at this time, I was still taking out loans to cover my living expenses. I wasn't taking out as much, so I was taking out like $2,000 loans. I have several $2,000 loans. And looking back again, I wish I would have just like waited tables or did something to just cover that rent so I didn't have to take out several of those smaller loans, because they did add up very quickly. I did work through college, but not enough to afford my rent and my bills and my food and all of those things. So senior year of college, I got the help that I just kind of mentioned. I moved into a different house. It was cheaper. That was helpful. But instead of going down on how much money I took out, I kept it the same, which really doesn't make sense. I should have kind of cut that back since my living expenses were going down, but live and learn. I accrued all of that debt in undergrad. It came to be close to about $30,000, I want to say. I've got the exact numbers here that I'll share in just a minute. And then I went to apply for my master's. If you don't know, I went to school for speech language pathology, and I graduate in May, and I'll be a speech pathologist, which is really exciting. But you have to have a master's degree for that. And I went to North Dakota for that. The school I went to, again, was a cheap school, $3,500. And I say cheap in quotes because I don't come from a family that can afford $3,500 a month to put me through school. And at that point, I had used up all of my Pell Grant money, and I no longer received any of that. So everything from that point on was just loan money. And if you don't know, like, a graduate program for speech pathology is very rigorous. Course load is super high. You have lots of practicum experiences. It's hard to work. I did work, but I could not work to the level to support myself fully. So I did have to take out really large loans, and I accrued a lot of debt while doing that. Up until this point, I had only taken out federal, unsubsidized, and subsidized loans, but during grad school, over the summer, I had used all of my FAFSA money and did have to take out a private loan. So that is kind of where I'm at with all of my debt. I also have a lot of medical debt from about 5 years ago. And now looking back, again, hindsight is 2020. I wish I would have just paid like $20 a month on a lot of it, and it would probably be canceled out by this point. But that's neither here nor there. So now I'm going to jump into the numbers. Remember, this is kind of a vulnerable situation for me, but I think it's important that we talk about these things, and I think that this will be motivating to me to pay down my debt quicker, because if you look at the plan they give you, they want you to pay on that stuff for 30 years. I am not paying on this for 30 years. I've already got a plan in place, but I don't want to share that plan until I start to see my income and see what's reasonable for me to have, because, again, I'll have to move soon again, so my living costs will change and all of that. So I will share that at a later date. So let's just jump into the numbers, the fun part. So my direct Stafford unsubsidized loan, my principal balance altogether total is $48,759. Now that includes several loans all added up together. So that's the principal. That debt is already accruing interest, and much of that debt has been accruing interest since 2014. So I already have close to $4,000 in interest accrued, and this is something that I did not know, so that was very exciting to find out when I finally sat down with my debt and saw where I was at and what I needed to do about it. Then my direct Stafford subsidized loans, I have $14,500, and none of those loans are accruing interest yet. The way I understand it is that the subsidized ones wait to accrue interest until after graduation. I don't really know. So my federal student loan debt is $63,259, and if I add on that private loan that I took out for school, I owe $69,616. Fun. And remind you, most of that is already accruing interest, so it's really close to about $75,000 right now with the interest that has accrued. As far as medical debt, I do have some type of seizure disorder, and when this all first started, I was obviously at the doctor a lot. I was uninsured and racked up a lot of debt. What I have left to pay at this point is $7,164.87. And I hope this is accurate, because I literally just pulled every bill I could find. I'm hoping that I'm not missing any of these, because, again, I started having seizures at 18. I'm almost 24 now, so I hope nothing is lost. So that brings my total debt to $76,780.87. Whew, that is a very large and in charge number, which is kind of frightening to look at. The only way I could tackle it is if I wrote it out and I knew where I stood with my debt. So that's where I stand. And like I said, with the interest that's there, that's really more at about $80,000 or a little bit more. So that is very exciting. But I will have this paid off within 10 years. I'm not doing the 25 years. I'm not doing any of that. This will be paid off in 10 years. And really the goal is like 5 to 7 years. So I will take you guys with me along, especially like my first year of kind of paying this off, getting used to it all. I'm not paying these minimum payments. I'm going to aggressively tackle this debt because it gives me so much anxiety to have all of this debt, and I feel like I can't move forward with other financial goals with this on my back. Another thing I wanted to talk about was interest. So my interest rates are 3.76% to 6.60%. And so that is kind of the range of the different debts that I have. And just for reference, this is a total of 22 separate debts. So those are 22 different things that I have to pay off. I will be making like a financial freedom chart. I've been watching a lot of budgeting videos and figuring out how I want to best tackle this, what's going to work best for me and my living situation and everything, because I still need to be a person. I cannot just not do anything. I wish I could be a little more aggressive with my debt repayment plan, but I do think as of now I have an aggressive plan that will also allow me to experience and enjoy my life. And just another point that I wanted to note is that the range of values for my debt, I have one debt as low as $59. My highest debt is $16,875. I know, it's ridiculous that I have a $59 debt, but honestly, I've just been avoiding and avoiding and avoiding for years and years and years. I didn't even know that debt was there. I could have paid for that debt. $59 could have paid for it. And it's ridiculous that now it's kind of impacting my credit score and it's impacting my overall way of living. So really, this video, I just wanted to encourage you guys to sit down, take a look at your debt, and see where you stand. You can't tackle it unless you know where you're at. I know it's intimidating. Like, I was literally so frustrated doing this because I knew I had a lot of debt, but when I actually had the numbers staring me at the face, I mean, it was hard. It was really hard. But I think it's important that you look at it and you know where you stand so that you can begin to tackle it. I'm going to do a whole video on how I organize my debt, and then I'll do a whole separate video on my debt repayment plan. If you guys have any other videos you want me to make about finances, let me know in the comments down below. I am definitely not a pro, but I'm hoping to learn during this process. If you have any tips on paying back debt, again, that's something that I would love to know as I'm just now getting started on this journey. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my new content. Bye, y'all.